It's good to be back in the spotlight. I suppose the Avengers will be calling me in any day now. And who knows, maybe I'll show up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mr. Powell, we at Marvel Studios regret to inform you that the Darkhawk movie has been put on hold for the foreseeable future as Disney just bought the rights back to the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. The best we can give you is a cameo appearance in the Freeform New Warriors show. Have a good day.
What? Fine, I'll take it. I need the money anyway. To say that I have a bit of a history with Darkhawk is a bit of an understatement. One of my early reviews was of 1991's Darkhawk number 1, and I mentioned him in my New Warriors retrospective. I liked the character because while he was one of those 90s characters who may have looked extreme on the surface, he was anything but that. Besides, he debuted in that awkward time when the 80s were taking their last breath. The early 90s were weird. And I'm not just talking about comics. I've even had this guy show up in the background of various videos, so yeah, I'm a fan. Darkhawk, whose civilian name is Chris Powell, was created by comic legend Tom DeFalco and artist Mike Manley. When he debuted, he was a teenager who stumbled upon an amulet of alien origin and used it to transform into an armored hero. He was the son of a policeman, and when his father vanished thanks to a mob boss, he decided to look for his father and make criminals pay for their misdeeds. He also learned that with great power there must come great shoulder pads. I mean, look at those things. You can poke somebody's eye out with those. After his debut, Darkhawk joined other teenage heroes of the era in the New Warriors, and eventually he joined the Avengers. Sadly, his main series was cancelled in 1995 thanks to Marvel's bankruptcy. However, that didn't kill the character at all. He still popped up from time to time, and even had his own limited series in the early 2000s called Loners. During War of Kings, he even got a little bit of a retconned origin. Instead of the armor being some no-named alien weapon, it was now something created by the aliens known as the Shi'ar for their Fraternity of the Raptors. Marvel had to go and connect him to aliens from the X-Men lore. Space is big, guys. Pick somebody else, huh? Maybe like the Skrulls or something? I don't know. He then became a mainstay in his friend and former New Warrior teammate Nova's book. Chris even took part in Avengers Arena, a comic where teenage heroes were fighting to the death to appease the villain known as Arcade. He was last seen clutching his amulet as S.H.I.E.L.D. agents hauled him away on a stretcher. The world thought they saw the last of Darkhawk until Marvel had a plan. A plan which said, please buy our stuff. We're sorry we made Captain America a Nazi. Please forgive us. Hot off the heels of Secret Empire, the event which saw Captain America fight a Nazi version of himself who was loyal to Hydra, Marvel launched a series of books called Marvel Legacy. Characters would meet past versions of themselves, or characters who took on the mantle after someone had died. There was stuff like Captain Marvel meeting up with Carol Danvers, the current Captain Marvel. Something else also happened. Various comics even reverted back to the numbering they would have had the company not relaunched them every couple of years with a new number 1 issue. For me, that got old really fast. In the mix, we also got this comic, Darkhawk number 51. It came right out of left field, and I'm so glad it did, as it was also pitched as the starting point for a new storyline for one of my favorite characters. Let's not waste any more time. I want to dig into Darkhawk number 51, a comic that came out 23 years after the last issue. Man, do I feel old. I think I like this cover. At the bottom we have Chris holding the amulet, and ethereal energy is surrounding him. He's got this shocked expression on his face, and no wonder, look who's behind him. It's a giant version of his alter ego. Gotta say, this is a different look for Darkhawk. At this point he's had more armor changes than Iron Man. Still, I like how cool it looks, and how the energy matches his visor. Nice touch. Our story opens in Null Space, the place where Darkhawk bodies are stored. Chris seems to be falling from this gigantic tree called the Tree of Shadows and is holding his amulet. He had never been there in person, but he knows it like the back of his hand. The tree is his connection to his old amulet. Lately, though, it's been just jewelry, which you can now buy online for only $999.95. Use it, and you too can be a superhero. Chris sees the fraternity of the Raptors coming after him. He explains that the Shi'ar created them to kill gods or stuff like the Phoenix Force. Please, only ginger telepaths can contain that much power. Anyway, they feel that Powell was never meant to be one of them, and say that he corrupts the ancient fraternity. So we had a late night keg party. Big deal. Lewis's hair grew back. Eventually. Powell wakes up with a start. It was an awful nightmare brought on by too much Thai food. A voice off camera asks if he's okay. It turns out it's a lady named Miranda, and she knows all about his past as a superhero. Apparently he's been having nightmares for quite some time. The Raptors attack, and his amulet isn't working. Miranda wonders if it's trying to tell him something. There had been times where it didn't work before. The problem is, it's never gone this long before, and basically it feels like it's saying, turn in your wings. We're then treated to a full-page recap of Chris's adventures as Darkhawk. We learn about his origin, how his dad was a crooked cop, how he fought with other teenage heroes, how he almost gave up even though the world wasn't willing to let him quit. He had been through a lot as a superhero. He doesn't know who he is without the Darkhawk persona. That's nice, dear. I'm gonna shower and get ready for work. I'm kidding. Miranda's being really supportive here. It's nice to have a character in comics who heroes can talk to about their problems. It's almost like character growth. Imagine that. It looks like Miranda heard this song and dance before on their third date. I bet that was awkward. While we wait for our chocolate cake, I want to talk to you about the time the Avengers and I were transformed into medieval versions of ourselves thanks to Morgan Le Fay. That was a weird day. His girlfriend wonders if he should just get rid of it. I mean, he did find it in an amusement park. It's not like it's a weapon. Oh wait, it is. She suggests giving it to the Avengers or the X-Men. Mainly the X-Men because they had past dealings with the Shi'ar. He helped a lot of people and still helps them to this day. That's why she loves him so much. She listened to his story about how he almost killed Hobgoblin and Spider-Man stopped him. If that isn't love, I don't know what is. Miranda suggests putting some distance between him and the amulet, and maybe then the nightmares will stop. She can't have him falling asleep at their wedding? Oh wow, characters do move on with their lives if they're in limbo. He can drop the amulet off at Project Pegasus before his shift. She tells him to go after work since Officer Powell is already late. He's taken after his dad. That's good character development. Make a note of that. On his patrol, Chris thinks about the time his father took him on ride-alongs. While other kids had Cap as a hero, he had Officer Mike Powell. As he got older, he began to understand his father a little more. However, what Mike ended up doing was still wrong. He's been trying to make up for his mistakes, and if he can't do it as Darkhawk, the world will just have to settle for Officer Chris Powell. Later that night, there's a report of a break-in at the old Wonderland amusement park. The same place Chris got the amulet. Chris responds to dispatch and is off to check things out. Meanwhile, outside the donut shop, his fellow officers are talking. Wow, way to avoid the stereotype, guys. They're talking about the call that just came in. The force seems to be divided on whether or not Chris's dad was a good guy or not. The bald guy with the messy jelly donut is rooting for the kid as it seems like he's gunning for a promotion. In fact, he wants to have a little chat with Junior. Right after I cleaned my uniform, I really should have used a napkin. At the amusement park, I really wish I could use the Scooby-Doo theme again like I did the last time we were here. Just picture the mystery machine is parked out front or something. Chris is walking around and is remarking at how cleaned up the place looks. Problem is that even with a fresh coat of paint, the place still is a ghost town. He finds where he found the amulet all those years ago and thinks about going into the funhouse. Someone suddenly takes him by the shoulder. The cops from earlier showed up and Chris aims his gun at them. Rookie mistake, guys. Never sneak up on a police officer in a spooky place in the rain. The policemen introduced themselves to Chris as friends. Generous friends. Oh wow, I see where this is going. As you might have guessed, the cops are crooked and, yes, they offered to, help the young cop along. Oh wow, looks like someone is watching the conversation using a heat scanner. Chris calls the cops out on this attempted bribery and says he's not his father. The guys don't extend their offer to just anyone, it seems. Either he's in or out. Before Chris could reply, an energy blast strikes the bad cop and a few raptors have come out of hiding. The bad cops run away. New York's finest, everyone. The raptors are so pleased Powell took the bait and mean to end it where it all began for our hero. Chris points his gun at them and yells, "You're under arrest." Dude, these look like the guys you put in a standard jail cell? Armor up and take care of these bad guys. As expected, the aliens laugh at Chris. He's nothing without his amulet. Then maybe he shouldn't. No, that only worked in Spider-Man Homecoming. Chris stalks the two and realized that they were raptors. Chris, it wasn't that dark. He wonders what they're doing on Earth as the bird guys plot to take his head back as a trophy. Chris then takes off. They call out to him saying that all they want is the amulet. Yeah, right. Chris may have handed it to them had they played nice. Now they're gonna face a cop with an electric baton. I wonder if that's standard issue. He strikes one and wonders if they're really real. Not the time for a mental breakdown, Powell. One of the guys manages to smash him into a mirror. That is gonna leave a mark. I guess they're real enough. The Shi'ar search him for the amulet, and Chris struggles to change into Darkhawk. One of the raptors grabs it, and Chris explains that it doesn't work anymore. The alien snarls. It doesn't work. For him. Ooh, this don't look good. The alien uses the amulet and becomes twice as powerful. Remember, he had one amulet already. Chris, buddy, you're out of luck. His friend takes off his helmet to get a good look at him and says he finally became a true raptor. He'll be getting a promotion and everything. Canaris turns his head and rips the guy's amulet out of his chest. Greedy much? Chris then realizes something. It's not Canaris. He's dealing with Razor. Razor was the guy who took Chris's place as Darkhawk during War of Kings and had him kill the leader of the Shi'ar Empire. Everyone in space now hates Darkhawk because of it. Razor was also the default personality for the Darkhawk armor before Chris came along. Razor's such a swell guy, isn't he? Our hero calls out to the villain, and he just stands there as Chris confronts him. He asks if he remembers him, and the baddie just stands there. This is gonna be over pretty quickly. Razor ruined Darkhawk's reputation. I hear Rocket even sells Everyone Hates Chris t-shirts now. Powell explains that Razor being in control again explains a lot. The villain then takes his hand and puts it against his heart. At this moment, Razor Powell fanfics storm the internet, and running the first one is Kamala Khan. The pair are actually transported to the world inside the amulet. I know it doesn't make any sense, just go with it. Comics are weird. Razor has taken Powell into the Data Song, where the Darkhawk body keeps the memories of him. Chris asks if he is really Razor. The guy replies, once. But you might prefer to call me by the name you gave us. Darkhawk. I would say that this was an acid trip, but Iron Man has had sentient armors too. This doesn't even faze me. Chris doesn't quite understand what's going on. Neither do I. Things have changed in space. The Nova Corps has been destroyed, and the Raptors are running wild. See current issues of the Guardians of the Galaxy for details. The Raptors have decided to police the galaxy in the way they see fit. It isn't sitting well with people out there. Originally, the bad guys were simple fanatics scouring space for the amulets. Their influence grew quickly. News of the dark influence spread to the tree, and Darkhawk's fellow armors all rejoiced at the prospect of causing chaos in space. Everyone but him was raring to go cause trouble. Darkhawk was hesitant. The years he spent with Powell changed him for the better. At this point, Chris is like, that's great. Could you have told me that before I got tossed into a mirror? Just saying. Darkhawk tore himself free of his stasis pod and severed his connection to the amulet and Powell. He was designed to work with Shi'ar genetics and couldn't deny Canoris's call. He has mourned the loss of his partnership with Chris. His presence was unexpected, but it isn't without purpose. That's great, really. How about I pop back in there? I hear the Avengers are looking for somebody. Chris then asked what Darkhawk was thinking, since freeing himself would cause all kinds of damage. Wrong was wrong, Hawk replies. He stood against his own kind and struck from the shadows, so raptors couldn't be used for evil purposes. Those he liberated hunted him, and without the tree's help, he'd be irreparably damaged. However, the two of them are back together again. Come on, man. How about a Netflix show, or at least a cameo in New Warriors? Darkhawk believes that the two can be whole once more, and Chris admits that the space stuff is a little out of his league. After all, he's getting married soon. He then asks what he can do. Hawk answers, join with them. Humans may not have been genetically fit to wear the armor, but something about the genetics allow him and any human greater access to the raptor suits than any other sentient life form in the galaxy. Basically, this guy is saying humans are special, other aliens aren't. Join me! Years ago, the two were separated once before, and reunited in order to save Earth. Powell's life force triggered Darkhawk's restorative functions, and with the right adjustments, it will do so again. There's a slight risk that the program may reassert itself, but what's life without a little risk, Chris? Join me. There are some in space that knew that Darkhawk was an assassin or a destroyer. He now has the chance to prove that he is in fact a hero. And now raptors like Canoris seek to impose their will on the galaxy. With or without him, if he doesn't stand up against him, who will? Chris replies, they'll destroy you. What is the Hawk gonna do? Not help? Chris then takes a minute to think things over. He never expected Razor to say these things. Then again, he isn't Razor anymore. He also just can't be Chris Powell. Back in the real world, an armored form steps out of the future smoke. The other raptor asks where Powell went off to, and if it was indeed his friend, Canoris. The suit replies, no, I am Darkhawk, and zaps him. Our hero admits that it felt different, but incredible. Merging didn't just repair the old Darkhawk armor. This is an all-new, all-different suit. Chris is now more in control of the Darkhawk body than ever before. He wonders if it's really him underneath the armor this time. Sadly, it isn't. Chris? No, wait. Darkhawk flies off in the rain and wonders how Miranda would like a honeymoon in space. Speaking of space, our comic ends with the head raptors having some sort of trial. Some alien was accused of murder, and there's this flash of light before the sentence can be commuted. The raptor from before tells his leader Talinar that his brother Canoris and he went to Earth to retrieve the Darkhawk amulet. Powell stopped him, and Talinar is like he abandoned his power. He reports to the boss that the power of Darkhawk has been reclaimed, and that he's coming for them all. Talinar laughs like a megamaniacal supervillain, and seems to be pleased with the sudden turn of events. What an ending! Let's take a closer look at this comic. This is a great continuation of the Darkhawk story, Even at the end, there's a message asking readers that if they want more Powell in the future, they should contact the Marvel offices via Twitter, Facebook, email, or other forms of social media. Readers should definitely do so. You know I did. Fanboying aside, the story is good in that it shows great character development for Chris. When he started out, he was just the son of a cop. Now he's a cop himself and is engaged. It's a pity we didn't see all of this happen on the comic page. Character development and growth is what makes characters last as long as they do. You can't expect heroes to stay stagnant year in and year out. They have to change, and Chris changed for the better. In the beginning, he was always angry about how his father ran out on the family. Now he has to come to terms with it and righting all the wrongs his father committed. I liked him interacting with the crooked cops. That showed how much he changed. This character has been a new warrior and an Avenger. There was no way he turned back on everything he ever learned from the likes of Spider-Man and Captain America. Sure, he learned a lot from his father. However, the writer of the comic may have missed the lessons his peers have given him over the years. And yes, Spider-Man has hammered in that with great power speech into Powell's head. He's done that with every teenage hero that came after him. I think Peter has a checklist of teenage superheroes on standby. He likes to give them lectures when the time is right. The stuff with the suit may have been corny for some. I don't really see it that way. It's been well established that the Darkhawk body is an android. In this case, the android has a lot of feelings for its master. The suit basically gave Chris a splash of cold water on his face and made him realize that he needs to be more than what he is now. People in space need him. This is known as a heroic turnaround. It's where a hero may have had doubts, but something happens to him to make him change his mind in the end. You see it a lot in comics and other works here and there. Chris has seen a lot of action as Darkhawk and was ready to give it up. Now he realizes there's a lot more work to do. He has a choice: live as a cop or embrace what fate has given him. Taking him back to where it all began was also a stroke of genius on the part of writers Chad Bowers and Chris Sims. I think having Chris go back to where he found the amulet the first time was a good idea. Sometimes in life you have to go backwards before you can go forward, and seeing where it all began renews his focus. Again, this is great character development because in the beginning of the comic, he was ready to give it all up. Fate had other plans, and now Chris knows what he has to do. It's a great literary tool, and I'd be lying if I said I never used it myself. Even the part with the bad cops served as a reminder to the readers that Chris's father wasn't always on the up and up. As a policeman, Powell was trying to be everything his father was not, and it was good to see him not fall into the same trap his father did. After all, he may have idolized his father, but in the end, he's his own person with a very different background. I honestly hope we get a chance to see more Darkhawk in the future. He's a great character, and these days I miss seeing the character I grew up reading. This isn't just nostalgia goggles talking. The character, as we just saw, has a lot of depth. He always did. On the surface, he may have looked like a generic 90s character. In comics, appearances can be deceiving. That's why Darkhawk is one of my favorite characters. He's due for the same kind of revamp his buddy Nova had a while back, and I hope we see this character again soon. If you want to see more Darkhawk like I do, please contact Marvel and let them know. I'll see you in the funny pages.